What's up, y'all? This is the first mailbag video. First of all, thank y'all for asking questions when I asked y'all to put a comment on that video about a week ago and let me know if you had any questions. There's lots of good questions, and they were really entertaining for me just to read, so I appreciate that. Second of all, Ned wanted me to mention a few things about these mailbag videos to make sure everybody's expectations are set appropriately. So first of all, I realized that I can't read the questions while I'm riding the motorcycle, because that would make me look even stupider than the people who text while driving. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to find a nice spot, I'm going to read all the questions, and then I'm going to get back on the motorcycle and I'll answer the questions. Because, of course, I don't want you all to have to sit there and watch me answer the questions without riding a motorcycle. That wouldn't be motovlogging, would it? Second expectation is personal questions. Like, totally makes sense that a lot of people ask personal questions because we never put personal information in the videos. Of course, there's a reason we don't put personal information in the videos, so we probably won't answer the personal questions quite to your satisfaction. Sorry about that. And one final thing about expectations is I do want to answer every question that we're comfortable answering. So, and I want to do it pretty quick. So the next, I don't know, the next maybe 2 or 3 of the next 4 videos are probably going to be mailbag videos, so we can cut through all these questions as quick as possible. And then from that point on, if you got a question that you'd rather see answered in the video, just put a little hashtag mailbag on it and put it in the comment, and we'll consider answering it on the video. All right, thank you. So let's get to the first question. John Ninnerim wants to know, how long have you been in Colorado? If you weren't born here, what made you come to Colorado? Okay, well, that's not too personal of a question. I can answer that. I've been in Colorado for about 8 years, and I lived in Dallas before that. And the thing that made me come to Colorado, so I really liked mountain biking and snowboarding and off-roading in my Jeep, and all that stuff kind of sucked in Dallas, as well as hiking and camping. And then what really made me move to Colorado was Oprah Winfrey. My wife was reading a episode of Oprah, and she told me that according to Oprah, there's no such thing as someday. And what she means by that is if you say you're going to do something someday, that's about the same as saying you're never going to do it. For example, if you say, someday I want to go to Paris, that probably means you're never going to go, because most people die with all their somedays becoming never-dones. Now, if you say, I'm going to go to Paris in February of 2017, there's a good chance you're going to do it. But there's no such thing as someday. So I asked my wife, I was like, well, what's your someday? What's the thing that you keep saying you're going to do someday? She says, well, I always said someday I want to live in the mountains. I was like, you know, I spent all my vacation time going to Colorado. I was always thinking, like, someday I'd like to just move there, and then, like, every weekend would be a vacation. So I listened to Oprah Winfrey. 9 months later, we lived in the mountains in Colorado, and sure enough, ever since then, every weekend's been about like a vacation for me. Tankerman. Alright, Tankerman asked a question. Hey, Tankerman just started motovlogging like a week ago, so y'all should go check out Tankerman's channel. Alright, let's see what he has to ask. What is the winning lottery numbers? If money was no object, what would be your dream bike and why? What is the one place in the world that you would like to ride and why? If you could, what is the one thing that you would love to try and why? If you could pass a law, what would it be and why? If you could change anything in your past, what would it be and why? After your life is over, what would you hope people would remember about you? How many questions am I allowed to ask? You only get one question, Tankerman. That was it. Next question. Moto Hiking BC asks, 9 or 45? 9 or 45? Oh, you're talking about bullets, aren't you? Oh man, this is kind of embarrassing. I'm not really a gun guy, you know. Like I grew up in Texas, so I know what the average Texan knows. I probably know a little less than the average Texan knows, but I don't really know a whole lot about guns. I can try to answer the question. I'll give it a shot. So 9 or 45? Okay. Well, I'd have to say neither. You know, if I was going to have one gun, I would probably get like a compact gun, not like a pocket carry size, but you know, like a, I don't know, like a Glock 19, Glock 23 size gun. And I'd probably get it in a 40. Now, there's definitely some exceptions to that. If I was going to get a pocket carry gun, I'd probably get it in a 9. So, like, if I was going to get, like, say, a Car PM9 or a Ruger LC9 or an M&P Shield. Oh, by the way, don't get the LC9. Get the LC9S because it's striker fire. They finally did that. So, if y'all have ever, like, shot an LC9 and you're like, man, that's a great gun, but the trigger pull is just a little funky, that's all fixed on the LC9S. Get one of them. What else was I? Anyway, so I was going to get that, or if I was going to get like the M&P Shield 9. By the way, the M&P Shield 9, it comes with all kinds of different variations. So you can get the California version that has like a bunch of freaking stupid safeties, or you can get the de-California version that doesn't have all the stupid safeties, which is what I like, because I already got a safety in between my ears and it works better than all the other ones. So, yeah, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, 45 versus 9. So the little pocket carries, I like the 9, and here's why. Because of the shorter barrel, I don't think that the difference in ballistics between that and a 45 or a 40 is going to be that different. Because the 9s are a lighter bullet, they're actually going to be more likely to get close to their optimal muzzle velocity, and therefore I think like the ballistical impact on a 9 versus a 40 or 45 coming out of a really short barrel is probably going to be pretty similar. You know, like it's going to be close enough where it doesn't really matter. So I'd rather have the extra rounds and the better control. And the control is the other factor there. I'm like I said, I'm not a gun guy. I don't go out and shoot every week. You know, by the way, I appreciate those of you who carry and those of you who hunt. I don't, but I appreciate those of you who do. But anyways, so yeah, I kind of suck, you know, with a little gun like that, shooting 9s, my gripping's probably only like 3 inches at 20 feet, and then if I start shooting 40s in the same size gun, then my gripping goes out to like 5 inches at 20 feet. So it's 9 for me on the littler ones. Now the 45. Now this is controversial, and I'm gonna piss off a bunch of people. I know it's coming, but I gotta say, I just think the 45, it was designed 105 years ago. I think we've had an opportunity and have done so to design better bullets with better science in the last 100 years. Now, there's an exception, which is the 1911. If I'm going to have a 1911, I want a 45 in it. That's what that gun was designed to shoot. And now, I'm just digging a hole. I know, this is worse. The 1911, again, it was designed 105 years ago. I think it doesn't really belong in this time. I mean, it's cool, but if you're going to have one gun, I'll just take a polymer framed striker fire and be done with it. It's simple, it's durable, you know, done. The 1911, cool. I mean, from an engineer, I look at engineering the way some people look at art, and when I look at 1911s, I have an emotional reaction like no other gun gives me. I just think that is an awesome piece of engineering. But it's not the gun I would have if I was only going to have one gun. And it's the only gun I really care to have a 45 in. So, yeah, and you know, I should explain it a little bit. You know, the 1911, like, it's kind of an overcomplicated design by today's standards, and I know it's proven. I get it, it's proven, but it's not as good now as it used to be. And here, I'll give you an example. The ejector spring on it. The ejector spring, you know, that has to be a certain spring rate for that to eject the cartridges correctly. And that depends on that ejector spring being made out of certain steel. You can't get that steel anymore. You could 100 years ago. So 100 years ago, great, make all the 1911s you want and put the ejector springs in there that are made out of the steel that they're designed to be made out of. You're all good. But nowadays, it doesn't happen, and so we come up with these weird designs where they put like a couple of springs on the side of the ejector spring so it'll work the way you want it to, and now we're just making it even more complicated, and that's when I'm like, you know what, yeah, I'm out. Just give me a stupid Glock 23. It's ugly, it's not sexy, I know, but if I'm going to have one gun, that's it. Now, if I'm going to have 5 guns, then yeah, 1911 is going to be one of them. So, now I got to talk about why I like the 40, because I kind of alluded to this. I think that's the bullet that has the most science and the most ballistical proof put into it. And here's why. You basically got to know the story of how we got to the 40. And basically what happened is the FBI got their butt kicked in a gunfight a few decades ago. And after that happened, they say, okay, we got our butt kicked because the bad guys had cover, we had cover, but the bad guys' bullets were going right through our cover, and our bullets were not going through their cover. Our bullets just did not have the ballistical stopping power we needed them to. The bad guys did. So what we need to do is figure out, like, what is the best possible bullet that our agents should be armed with if we get in a gunfight. And now the FBI, they know about ballistics, okay? Like, the FBI knows more about ballistics than anybody else in the world, okay? They put way more money, way more time, and way more energy into studying ballistics than anybody else. They actually shoot people. They have a lab where they have people that they shoot to study ballistics, okay? The people are already dead, but dead or not, who else shoots at people to study ballistics? Only the FBI. So the FBI contracted out to get, like, the best possible bullet made for a gunfight, and you know what it was? Not the 40. It was the 10mm. So they got the 10mm, they armed all their agents with the 10mm for a couple years, and then they discovered that the 10mm was sexist. Basically, the female agents could no longer qualify with the 10mm because it was just too much power, a little too hard to control. So they said, all right, we're going to have to back this down and try to get the most controllable bullet we can possibly have while still maintaining as much of the ballistical impact as the 10mm. That was the 40. So that's why I like the 40, you know, and I'm not that good with a gun. Like I said, I'm just not a gun guy. So, and I'm built like a T-Rex. You know, I got a big fat body and these tiny useless arms that are weak. So I just don't control guns very well. And a 10mm would be great. You know, honestly, I haven't really tried a 10mm. I'd like to, and if I could handle it, I'd use a 10 instead of a 40. Except for one thing, they're not mainstream enough. You know, it's just too hard to get the guns that I would want to get in a 10mm. It's too hard to get the ammo. It's too expensive. The 40's mainstream, and it's the next best thing to the 10mm. I will say this, by the way, if you're ever in Texas and you're in feral hog country and all you got is a pistol to defend yourself, you probably want a 10mm. Anyways, so sorry, I know I'm not that much of a gun guy and I can't really give you a good answer to the question. You should probably talk to somebody who's more Texan than me, but I hope it's not total disappointment. Alright, so that was fun. I enjoyed doing this mailbag stuff, and we'll have to do it again sometime soon. We will do it again sometime soon. I appreciate y'all sending in questions, and keep them coming. Alright, over and out.